Hello everyone, this is Jyotsna. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In our previous tutorial, we have seen the different levels of software testing. One of the level of software testing is unit testing. So in this tutorial, we will see the detailed explanation about unit testing. So starting with what is unit testing. Unit testing is the first level of software testing. It is a white box testing techniques usually done by the developers, but sometimes testers also take parts while doing unit testing. It is a type of software testing where the individual units or components of the softwares are tested. A unit may be an individual function, method, procedure, module, or an object. The purpose of unit testing is to validate that each unit of software code performs as expected. In unit testing, unit test isolates a section of a code and verify its correctness. Usually, unit testing is usually used to verify the control flow, data flow, and memory leak problems. The next is how to do unit testing. In order to do unit testing, developer write a section of code to test a specific function in software application. So developers generally use a unit test framework to develop the automated test cases for unit testing. There are two ways where we can write the unit test cases. One is manual and another one is automated. A manual approach to unit testing may employ a step-by-step instruction document. Under the automated approach, a developer writes a section of code in the application just to test the function. They would later comment out and finally remove the test code when the application is deployed. Developer could also isolate the function to test it more rigorously. So, in isolating the code helps in revealing unnecessary dependencies between the code being tested and the other units or data spaces in the product. So, these dependencies can then be eliminated. A coder generally uses a unit testing framework to develop automated test cases. Using an automated framework, the developer codes the criteria into the test to verify the correctness of the code. During execution of the test cases, the framework logs failing test cases. Many framework will also automatically flag and report in summary these failed test cases. So here, depending on the severity of the failure, the framework may also halt the subsequent testing. The workflow of unit testing involves creating the test cases, review or rework on the code or test cases, then the creating the baseline and executing the test cases. The next is what is unit testing techniques. There are different unit testing techniques. Unit testing techniques are mainly categorized into three parts. Black box testing that involves testing of user interface along with input and output. White box testing that involves testing the functional behavior of the software application. And the gray box testing. Gray box testing is used to execute the test suites, test methods, test cases, and performing the risk analysis. Good code coverage techniques used in unit testings are below. The one is statement coverage, decision coverage, branch coverage, condition coverage, finite state machine coverage. These are the different code coverage techniques used in unit testing. Okay, the next is there are different unit testing tools which are used to write the unit testing framework. I have listed some of the main usually used unit testing frameworks. The first one is JUnit. JUnit is a free to use testing tool which is used for the Java programming language. It provides assertions to identify test methods. This tool tests data first and then inserted in the piece of code. Then another one is YUnit. YUnit is widely used unit testing framework used for all .NET languages. It is a open source also, which allows writing a script manually. It supports data-driven test which can run in parallel. The third one is JMockKit. So JMockKit is open source unit testing tools. It is a code coverage tool with line and path metrics. It allows mocking APIs with recording and verification of syntax. This tool offers line coverage, path coverage, and data coverage. The fourth one is Emma. Emma is an open source toolkit for analyzing and reporting code written in Java language. It supports core coverage types like methods, line, basic blocks, It is Java based, so it is without external library dependencies and can access through the source code. The fifth one is PHP unit. PHP unit, as the name suggests, it is used for the PHP programmer. It takes small portion of code which is called units and test each of them separately. The tool also allows developers to use predefined assertion methods to assert that a system behave in a certain manner. So these are some of the unit testing tools I have mentioned here. There are many other depending on the different languages. So the next is unit testing advantages. So what are the advantages? Why we do unit testing? Unit testing allows the programmer to refactor code at the later date and make sure the modules still work correctly. That is in regression testing. Due to the modular nature of unit testing, we can test parts of the project without waiting for others to be completed. The next is disadvantages. There are some disadvantages also for the unit testing. As unit testing can't be expected to catch every error in the program. It is not possible to evaluate all the execution paths even in the most trivial programs. As in unit testing, we test the single unit of a code. We cannot use unit testing to catch the integration errors or broad system level errors. So these are some of the disadvantages of the unit testing. This is all for the unit testing tutorial. Thank you so much for watching the video.